Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about non-defining relative clauses. So open your textbooks, page 66, and let's get started. We begin with exercise number 1, which says, read story A and answer the question, how did the elephant save the rancher's life? Before you answer the question, I will read the story for you. The Elephant and the Rancher. A rancher who was working in the bush came across a small herd of about 20 elephants. The leader of the herd, which is usually the largest, oldest, and most aggressive female elephant, attacked him and he fell off his horse. Later, rescuers found the rancher whose leg was broken. The same elephant was standing over him. The rancher told his rescuers that the elephant had lifted him with her trunk and placed him under a tree, where he was protected from the sun. For the rest of the day she watched over him, brushing him gently with her trunk every so often. So, how did the elephant save the rancher's life? What do you think? Let's see. The elephant placed Rancher under a tree out of the sun and guarded him. As you can see in this story, there are few sentences in blue. They are called non-defining relative clauses. So, before we move to the next exercise, let's see what are non-defining relative clauses. As the name suggests, non-defining relative clauses tell us more about someone or something, but the information in these clauses doesn't help us to define what we are talking about. Take, for example, the sentence from story A. The leader of the herd, which is usually the largest, oldest, and most aggressive female elephant, attacked him and he fell off his horse. As you can see, in this sentence, we are talking about the leader of the herd of elephants, and the information in the non-defining relative clauses tell us something more about the leader. If the non-defining relative clauses were removed from the sentence would still be grammatically correct, and the meaning would not have changed although we would have less details. As you have seen from the examples in blue, non-defining relative clauses are composed of a relative pronoun, a verb, and optional other elements such as the subject or object of the verb. Commas are always used to separate non-defining relative clauses from the rest of the sentence. We use relative pronouns who, which, where, and whose, but we don't use pronoun that. Now, let's go to the page 121 and check what you have learned. We will do the exercise number 1, which says, complete the sentences with who, which, where, or whose. 1. That young man over there, name I can't remember at the moment, is a famous ecologist. So, what do you think? Which word we have to use here? Yes, that's right. Whose is the correct answer. Number 2. We went on an expedition to the Amazon. None of us had ever been before. In this sentence, we are talking about place, so we have to put where. Yes, that's true. 3. The doctor can't have been older than 30, examined Lisa's leg carefully. In this sentence, we use pronoun who because we are talking about person. Sentence number 4. Mrs. Janet McGregor's favorite holiday destination is London. People don't recognize her. What do you think? London is place, so we use word where. Number 5. One of my friends' wives run a big business has made a big donation to an environmental charity. In this sentence, we need pronoun which describe possession. So, Whose is the correct option. And the last sentence in this exercise, sentence number 6, the elephants were drinking water from the river suddenly became very anxious. What do you think? What is the correct answer? Yes, in this sentence we use relative pronoun which. Now, let's get back to page 66 and do the exercise number 3. Okay? Complete the story B with relative clauses from A to F. A. Whose baby was still in her arms. B. Which was called Binti Jua. C. Who is now 21 years old. D. Where he made a complete recovery. E. Who was unconscious. And the last one, F. Where a female gorilla was feeding her baby. First, I will read the story without relative clauses. Then you have to complete the story using correct relative clauses. The Gorilla and the Toddler. An American boy owes his life to a gorilla at Brookfield Zoo. When he was 3 years old, his family took him to the zoo. He wanted a better view of the gorillas, so he climbed a wall and fell 6 meters into the gorilla cage. The gorilla went over to the boy. Then the gorilla lifted the boy up gently and carried him to the door. The boy spent 4 days in hospital. Binti Jua is still at Brookfield Zoo near Chicago. I hope you have finished your task, so now let's listen to the CD and check your answers.
CD2, track 43, The Gorilla and the Toddler. An American boy who is now 21 years old owes his life to a gorilla at Brookfield Zoo. When he was 3 years old, his family took him to the zoo. He wanted a better view of the gorillas, so he climbed a wall and fell 6 meters into the gorilla cage, where a female gorilla was feeding her baby. The gorilla, which was called Binti Jua, went over to the boy, who was unconscious. Then the gorilla, whose baby was still in her arms, lifted the boy up gently and carried him to the door. The boy spent 4 days in hospital where he made a complete recovery. Binti Jua is still at Brookfield Zoo near Chicago.
Okay. Before we finish this exercise, we still have to answer the question. How did the gorilla save the boy's life? What do you think? Yes, that's right. The gorilla saved the boy's life by placing him near the door. Okay, now it's time for your homework. Don't forget to do it. You have to do exercises 4 and 5 in your textbooks, page 66. Read the extra information from story C and guess what happened in story. Then rewrite story using the extra information in exercise number 4. That's all for today. See you next time. Thank you.